Alright, at this point you've looked at the introduction. Hopefully you've got a general idea of the products we have. Now we're going to show you the application in a reflexes postural correction regimen. This is more a thought than anything. You can use these in any variation as long as you get the same thing done. Structurally, we're trying to put the head back, the shoulders back, and the hips underneath someone. Follow that pattern. How you do it is up to you as long as you get there. We give you a general idea. We're going to start out this regimen with some bench work, which we've done for years. Now we're going to add the tuners to it. And then we'll go to a prone position, do some arthrokinetic work, which is an oscillation of the joints into the capsules, changing the proprioception, and giving you better articulation and mobilization of joints. Beats having to grind them to dirt. So we've learned a little bit over the years. That AK stuff I learned years ago, didn't really get into it. Saw it was done a while back by James Oslowski. He did a very good job of presenting it. So I went back and looked at it and said, yes, I should be doing this also. Sometimes you have to grow into these techniques. At this point, we want to start out. We're going to ask our model Wayne again to come over and have a seat. Stand right next to the table and have a seat. So I want to build up the format, and I laid down the prone bolster with the microwavable bolster, microwavable pad to give him a chin point. Now we're going to use the memory foam pillows and bring them up until we get something that creates a face rest condition for him. At the same time, Wayne, I'm going to ask you to place this on your left ankle just where it touches skin. That's the grounding system. So we're going to be discharging free radicals and recharging new electrons while we're doing this procedure. He's also going to hold on to this isometric exerciser, which we've shown you before. Put your forehead right here. There you go. At this point, turn your head slightly to me. And you want him fairly comfortable in here. This application of ointment. We use a strong anti-inflammatory, comfrey-based ointment still. Now we want to reflex the tissue in the original postural correction stuff. You remember when bench work that we use these nice hot stones. Gentleman manufactures these. That's a good job. So you're just reflexing the tissue. The erectors are the most nerve innervative muscles of the body. Consequently, it helps to reflex them. Turn your head to me, please. So the grounding effect acts as a muscle relaxer. We know that the connective tissue goes through its thixotropic state because of pressure, heat, and time. Basically, we tell them gristle don't stretch. We can make it happen a little faster, though. Turn your head to the center. There you go. We have these hot AccuBalls now. We can use them with or without magnets. And once we've reflexed them with a little bit of heat, we can add more, and these are quite a bit hotter depending on how you run them. I run mine pretty hot. The key is keep them moving in your hand, and they won't be uncomfortable to you or them. So now we've added heat and pressure to move this connective tissue. Everything goes up the front and down the back. That's the rule for getting you back in gravity. We can go from this and start using our tuners. Using the hot steel to sound off of. Just go up and down the spine. And use the tip to clean and lam the groove. Use your finger as a guide. It helps not to be so abrupt to the tissue with the hard tip. Turn your head to me, please. So you can use the heat for reflexing, and you can use the tip to break out connective tissue lesions, or bristle spots as we sometimes call them. From here you can go to magnetics. These little AccuBalls are quite handy. They allow you to hold it while it's hot, not hurt your hand, and reach in and break up these connective tissue lesions that form this upper scapular area. Everybody's familiar with these hot spots. Loosen them up, then flip it over, and glue little magnetic plates to it. And now you can be reflexing these areas while you're working on something else. One down to the low back. You have a nice pattern of magnetics. What you can do with that is striking the tuners to each other is create a carrier wave through the body, and the nervous system will follow and go through some relaxation. You'll also be discharging free radicals faster because this wave obviously is going directly to ground. This is the ohm frequency. So you're getting a lot of things at once. For those of you that like reflexive work, you can do this all day. For those of you that like structural work, you can also do that. Tuners allow you to facilitate using your hands more and your arms, and you're not locked down with the instrument. Head to me, please. And you can run frequencies between any muscle groups, and you'll find the relaxation is pretty profound. The vibration creates a piezoelectric effect also in the connective tissue, which in theory allows it to go into its thixotropic state faster, meaning it loosens up and elongates. Remember, it doesn't stretch, it morphs. A lot of things you can do in one position. Turn your head, please, to me. There you go. And it's up to you how creative you are. If you like craniosacral work, again, another energy model, you can apply it to the cranium and at the same time work the suboccipital minutia and loosen up the cranial cap faster. It is said it has a 4,000 psi, and standard psi for connective tissue is around 2,000. So as Tom Myers says, you get a lot of juice out of working the skull. And you can do that better with this because it relaxes the tissue that much faster. Just follow your plates from craniosacral and imagine that you're loosening those sutures. And turn your head, please. Nice and slow. A lot of possibilities. You can do TMJ work, work to the temporalis. You can focus on rotating plates. You can work into the bregma. Imagine all the plates receiving a loosening signal. Don't know. Just know it feels really good and definitely seems to help people with a lot of restrictive neck issues. This also allows you disposition to work on carpal tunnel issues. All of this is available to you. Or you have to figure out how to be creative. I can just tell you what to do with it as a guide. Here we're loosening up the back. Shouldn't have to do a lot of neck and shoulder work once you've done this. And it's easy to reach, and you lifting up that person's head and shoulders on a table. Sit up straight, please. Always have them holding on to the magnet. Wait, at this time you're going to turn your head here. You'll keep it there. You'll push against my hand, rotate here, and stop. And then when you go back, I'll tell you each time. Make sure they understand the movement and keep them level. Reach back under the SCM and push back and turn to me. Go through the noosher with that working tip. Let your fingers reach in there and capture, exchange, and go back to your left. Again, work the SCM, levator, all those muscles that we generally think about. Don't think about muscles as much nowadays as I do just connective tissue. So I'm always looking, where is the connective tissue thickened and being obstructed? And turn to me. And then back to you. Go across the SCM. Under the noosher suboccipitals, let your arm work with you. Place your elbow in the suboccipitals, drag down across the trapezius, and just stick that tuner in your hand. Let that signal go straight through your elbow. A lot of things you can do. Again, go back to the previous course on bench work, and you'll see a lot of these techniques and more explanation. We're just showing you today how to use the tuner system for a more reflexive effect. So you can spend an entire session, obviously, just doing bench work. They can do all kinds of active engagement. There's no limit to how much movement you can do in that upper thoracic other than your creativity and working with them. But use the magnetics. They're muscle relaxers. Maintain the ground on the person. You know they're discharging and recharging. We call that lanyard. We're not even going to charge you for those free radicals today. You create a face rest condition. If you'll turn your feet into stand up, always turn your feet into stand up and calibrate your body weight taller. You'll lie face down for us right here. This uses your memory foam pillow, the microwavable pad. Slide down a little further, put your face right there. There you go. And that gives you the hard point for your chin that you're looking for. Create a complete expansion as far as you can on the table. Take your magnetic bolster that goes normally under your shoulders here, and we're going to use it under the hips to do some arthrokinetic work. A lot of different variations on a theme. The osteopath still said, roll the bones, they'll come back home. Place it directly under the femur, and then figure four the leg. You can strap this down to the other leg, or you can just hold it right here. The object is the support of the magnet underneath it, the bolster, allows this flexibility within the joint. Capturing the top of the trochanter and reaching across the fibula to articulate these two areas, you would rock back and forth and do a little bouncing into the joint. Consider it like Morse code when you're pushing the joint pieces together. And they tell you to stagger it, not to maintain the same signal, but to create this random bop, 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 bop inside the joint by pushing the bones together. And that articulation recalibrates the proprioception within that joint and very often loosens up stuff that we've spent a hard time grinding loose. It's nice to be able to do it better. Again, while they're in that position, you can choose to use these magnetic AccuBalls to do work for you. Keep them right here in the hinges where you know things are stuck. The T5-6 hinge is very important. That's the one that creates that fibromyalgia condition, changes your heart and respiratory rate. Important to keep that one clear. How much you use the tuner is up to you. You can use it everywhere or just sometimes. I focus on the ligamental attachments. Ilio-lumbar ligament, sacral edge, across the top of the trochanter, dig out those rotators, lay it right across the head of the fibula. Make sure that it moves. That fibular articulation is really important. Once we've gotten that, simply straighten the leg and change the bolster to a little more of an angle. Try to keep it off the knee. Turn the leg into internal rotation. Reach up and capture across the trochanter with your elbow and create a nice lengthening effect off the heel cord. You can work around from this all the way to the ischial tuberosity. You can control the hamstring pressure. You can reach down and pull the pes insularis back and get quite a bit of correction in the leg with this kind of a leverage. There's an anterior hip capsule movement that people do, but instead of picking the leg up, I find it's better to use this lever. And again, arthrokinetics, place your leg into it or any part. I reach up and capture the ischial tuberosity, top of the trochanter, and I just kind of do that same bouncing action. And you can change the angles of innervation here, bring the leg further out or in. But after you bounce it a little bit, then come back and do your lengthening. And that's basically the gist of the arthrokinetic work. Do that to both sides. They tend to balance quite well. The key is have the legs spread as far as you can. Yeah, it's not the most comfortable, but this type of regimen is not claimed to be comfortable. We don't offer relaxation. We only offer results for chronic discomfort. Again, ilio-lumbar ligament, capture the fibula. Constantly maintain that rocking action. Once you've placed your bolster underneath the leg, the magnetics acts as a muscle relaxer. There's your sacral edge. And again, reach across the top of the trochanter, grab the fibula, roll these points, make them articulate. Roll the joints, they'll come back home. Dr. Still, the osteopath, said, and he was definitely gifted. So you can work this inside or outside. From here, I'll be on the inside of this leg. There I was on the outside. To show you the difference, here's your ischial tuberosity. Reach in here and create a nice lengthening underneath it where the hamstring becomes highly congested. Reach across to quadratus femoris and make sure that area is released because it very often impinges the sciatic nerve condition. And again, you can use your tuner and follow the bony areas, focusing on GTOs, at your Golgi's tendon apparatus. So if you want to lengthen the quad and hamstrings quicker, simply reach behind, activate the GTOs. They cross from the gastrocs to the hamstrings. And that's much easier, and it protects that endangerment area with a cupped hand. For those of you that like energy work, again, after doing a nice stretch, you can use this tuner to go through the gastrocs. You can use it to do reflexology. Sit here and work all the reflex point, work the sinuses, the tips of the toes. Work the areas that are designated spine and organs. So you can get a full session just doing that. The big thing is the arthrokinetics and the bolstering is what will make your work much easier than what a lot of people tend to do. The person receives more benefits. They've got magnetic acupressure, all that at one time. The body's continuously charging and discharging new electrons, discharging free radicals during the entire procedure. You can incorporate everything from our other structural courses, such as your cross-stretching methods. I'm not going to go back through all these, but you can use your tuner. Anywhere in here that you want to work, you can use that tuner. Again, back of the head, down the spine, work around the hips. Be creative. At this point, Wayne, I'm going to ask you to lie on your back for me, please. We're going to reorganize the table. Lie right here. I'm going to place the first on the New Life Health Recovery System, which is this magnetic bolster. Raise your head. Place the shoulders. That being the inferior border of the scapula, directly in the center of that bolster. And raise your legs, please. And we're going to ask them to help center this magnetic bolster under your sacrum. Raise, please. And put it to where it's centered to you. This will tend to throw them toward the head a little bit. So adjust your leg bolster, take up all the slack. And reach down and adjust the shoulder bolster, make sure it's hooking the tips of shoulder blades. And then produce a traction device using our traction pillow and put the magnet inside of it unless you want them to hold it. Here I'm just going to use it for traction. Raise your head, please. Come back down. And place your hands behind your head. Make sure they touch your head.